Welcome to the show, everyone. Boy, it's crazy out there, and I can't believe, again, I've been saying it all along, how fast the time is flying. But anyway, I love networking with everybody out there, and that is what we do on this show. We literally talk to everyone within 3 feet of us right through the radio, and I always tell people to do that. My first guest has been on with me now several times. I have with me Karen Rossner. She's the owner of KMR Personal Finance Coaching, and I want you to tell everybody a little bit about what you do and how we're going to focus this. Listen up, everyone, because almost every single person out there is probably in this situation. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen, and thank you for listening. And yes, I am a personal financial coach. I am not an investor or an advisor. I help people get out of debt. And my focus for my business has changed. I'm doing more medical debt and helping transplant patients. Now, the medical debt, everybody has medical debt. I will always have medical debt because of my transplant and my condition, being a transplant recipient. But a lot of people have medical debt. And being a social worker for 36 years and counting, I know the ins and outs of medical debt, and I know where to get assistance for some of the medical debt. I have a client, she is in California, and she had 2 ambulance rides, and she had about $6,700 in those rides, because when you get in the ambulance, they charge you for the miles.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yes, it's almost worse than a taxi ride. But it's like they charge you for the miles and whatever they use there. And so it came up to $6,700. She's a veteran, and she was waiting for the VA to help her with a claim, but they denied it. We appealed it, and they still denied it. So I called the ambulance company in California and talked to them, let them know what was happening, and that the VA canceled or denied her claim. And they're like, all right, I'll give you a call back. So 2 hours later, they call me back and they're like, okay, we're going to write off her first bill. So that was going to be done. And then the second bill, we're going to bill her like she's a Med-Cal recipient, which means Medicaid for California. So her $6,700 bill went down to $143.70.
Wow, isn't that so cool? Now, I want to talk about something because I want to make it very clear for people. You don't just work with transplant patients. You happen to focus with them because of what your situation was.
Right.
But anybody who has medical debt, you can help them with that. And how many people have medical debt? Almost everybody out there probably, you know? And you can help them in any situation. What I think what it is with you, what makes you so different, is that you, first of all, have done this for yourself many times.
Many times, yes.
And you are yourself, you say you happen to, because you've had so much medical debt, the reason why is, since you were a baby, born, you've had a lot of medical issues, and we're going to talk about that. But because also the fact that you are a social worker, you know the ins and the outs, you know the system.
I do know the system, and I know where the programs are. I know how to apply for the programs. And, you know, I have a t-shirt because I'm a recipient, and it says, you can't tell me no because I'm on anti-rejection medicine.
I love that.
I don't take no for an answer when I talk to people for my clients. I'm an advocate through and through.
I love that. And believe me, folks, let me tell you something about Karen. She doesn't take no for an answer for anything. That's just the way How long have you been a social worker?
For 36 plus years.
I just wanted everybody to hear that because, you know, you've been doing this a really long time.
A very long time.
And how happy was your client when you got her $6,000, whatever it was,
$6,200 down
to $100? She must have been just kissing you.
She's a virtual client, so I wasn't in person. But when I called her and told her, she goes, "Really?" And then I saw her in the tears.
Oh, yeah.
She was happy
Absolutely.
tears.
Now,
So-
when people work with you, you can work with people worldwide, right?
Countrywide, yes.
Country. So so just the United States.
Yes, because I
thought
don't know.
You don't do Zoom. Oh, that's right, because of the fact that it's not.
Yes.
Hello, Carol. So yeah, so nationwide, she can help people.
Yes.
And you can call her direct. Her phone number is 808-253-1157. And you obviously do free consultations. You got to hear about their story, and
Right,
everyone, especially if you're in medical debt. You know, boy, you got stories. So you
Yes.
got to sit down and talk to them and find
Yes.
out. And what does it take? I mean, obviously you have to, get to know their information. Does it matter how much debt that they're in, really?
No, and it's medical, and because I had another client, he had a medical bill. He didn't get it on time for a lab results, blood draws, and it was sent to his sister. His sister didn't get it to him on time. The lab brought it to, the lab turned it into collections because they didn't pay on it. And he's like, I don't know what to do. So I called the lab, and they're like, oh, well, we didn't know he had insurance. They didn't have all of his insurance listed. And so they're like, tell him forget about the bill because they're going to send it to the insurance company. Because he usually doesn't have a bill when he gets it. And this was a $500 bill and went zero.
Yeah.
And just a phone call. Because I know how to speak into the medical world, the terminology, and I'm there. I speak it all the time. Like Carol was saying, I've been a patient since all my life. So.
Right. I mean, I think that people need to understand too about medical debt. It's different than credit card debt.
Oh, yeah.
Because medical debt, I don't think it ever goes away. Is that correct? Or how long does it stay? I mean, how does it work?
It doesn't go on your credit report after a certain amount. But,
okay.
But it depends on your illness or whatever your illness is. It could be on your report, or you can have it for the lifetime, like me, or you could have it short term if you're just going in for.
So it doesn't go on your credit report, but you owe it.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You don't. That doesn't go away.
That doesn't go away, and
Right.
it could go collections. It could go to the collections, and but hopefully I can help them before it goes to collections.
Now, when you work with people, you like to do that where can you do it over the phone? I mean, do you just like to meet with them? How does that work?
And usually go on phone or Zoom because I like to see the person. And with medical debt, if I'm using the medical bills, I have to see the medical bills. I want them to send them to me so I could be talking to them, talking to the company. And so I want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And right in front of me. I can't say, well, Mr. Smith gave me this bill and he owes $500. Can you help me? You
got to know what it is, when it
Yeah.
was for. So you got to do your research
Yep.
on that. You have to do the searching on that.
Yep.
So you can call her direct. It's 808-253-1157. Her website is, your website for this is the same as
Yep.
yourdebtfreequickly.com. Again, write this number down, and maybe it's you or someone that you know. It's 808-253-1157. Hang tight, we'll be back in just a minute. We're going to keep on going. So,
Yep.
Interesting that when you work with people, how fast does it happen for people that have thousands and thousands of dollars in debt? I mean, does it matter how much?
No, it doesn't matter, but it depends on how it is and what debt it is and what what bills there are.
I think it's the number one reason why people go bankrupt is because of medical debt.
Medical debt, yes, and they're talking, and a lot of people are going bankrupt because they're surgeries, if they don't have insurance, and I can help them get on Access or Medicare, to help them. There's programs from hospitals that I could get them on, that assistance with the medical bills, co-payments, various other.
I think what really happens is let's say even if they have insurance, they have these high deductibles. And this is what makes people, because they want that low payment
Yes.
on a monthly basis.
Right.
So they get a really high
Oh,
deductible.
Yeah.
And now they put themselves in debt because, they've got to pay that every month, but they still had a high deductible. They're in debt.
Yeah, and well, they are with high deductibles, but it depends. Because for some, if they're going in for an x-ray, if they go in for surgery, that deductible is paid like that. It's very quick. And it's a lot easier. And there's a lot of different things with the insurance. There's deductible, there's co-pays, there's
so much.
And the premiums and co-insurance, so, and it's a foreign language if somebody doesn't really understand what's going on.
Absolutely.
And when I first became a medical social worker, I was swimming. My head was swimming because I'm like, okay, did I make the right decision of going to medical debt?
Oh, I think
medical
for sure.
social work. Oh yeah, but I'm learning a lot. And it's getting, my head was swimming with all this new terminology and everything. So that's what it was. And I learned a lot, and I am still learning. I'm always learning about stuff.
Right. Well, you are a non-stopper.
Yes. And I have people in the Medicare, I know who to call if I have questions about Medicare, and they're over my head. So I have contact people for that. And I'm not afraid to ask them.
No, that I know.
I'm not afraid to ask questions.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So it's going to be good, and I want to help people as much as I can. And a transplant is just totally different with a medical, because they have a lot of co-pays, they have a lot of payments after and before.
We'll talk about that. Wow, Bill has his ad during my show. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. That's really cool. The owner of the station has it during my show. Oh, here we are on. Are we on yet? Okay, we're on. You know what? This is a live show.
Yes.
And here we are, live talking about the owner of the station. And okay, so we're back and we're talking. Okay, we're back talking with Karen Rossner, and she's the owner of KMR Personal Finance Coaching. But she's really focusing now on people with more medical debt than anything, because so many people have it. And you had such a wonderful story for people that out there. First of all, let me also say this about her: everything she does, she likes to do fast. Right? And so when you're working with her, you're going to get out of debt, especially your medical debt, fast.
Quickly, yes.
Real quickly.
Yes.
And that is what you do with people. And that's why your website is yourdebtfreequickly.com. You can also call her. Write this number down, because everyone, if it's not you, you know somebody who has medical debt. And her phone number is 808-253-1157, and you can call her. She does free consultations, and she works nationwide. At the break, we were talking a little bit about people and their debt, and you said that there's a lot of medical, I want to say jargon, that terminology that you have behind you with all of the 30 some odd years that you've been a social worker, that there's just so much that you know that you can look at, you understand what those little codes are and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's when it gets really hard too. Go ahead.
Yeah, because when I first became a medical social worker, I remember I was working in a nursing home, and the doctor wrote SOB, and I was like, oh wow, that's really mean of him to say that about a patient.
Be careful.
Yeah, and it's shortness of breath. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, that's pretty funny. I love that.
So I'm like, I find out the terms, and then they're really interesting. And funny at times, because my mind went somewhere else,
Right.
So with SOB. But those are the terminologies. And financial world, there's other terminology that I learned, and with insurance, there's the co-pays, the premiums, the co-insurance, and maximum out of pocket, all those terminologies, and I had to learn them myself. And because actually when I was married and we were doing insurance and everything, I gave that to my husband. I didn't want to do that. But when we were divorced, I had to learn, and I did learn.
Right.
And I never stopped learning about the insurance, about any of that. I even took a test and studied to sell insurance back in the day, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah. No, and I was talking to you a little bit also about people who get themselves into medical debt, and the reason why I think it happens so a lot to people is because we had mentioned how, you want to have the lowest copay
Right.
as possible. So
Right.
I call it catastrophic,
Yes.
insurance, where you have this high deductible, right? So it's great, your payment is lower, but you have that high deductible, and so now something happens, you're responsible until you
Right.
hit that deductible, you're responsible for that, right?
Well, it's the deductible and total out-of-pocket cost.
Right.
And it could be a little bit of a little bit more than what your deductible is, and total money out of pocket is what you're going to pay for the year.
Right.
There's a max to it.
But it could be high, and
It
if
could
it's
be high.
high, that's part of what you get yourself into debt with,
Yep.
and that follows you, and they come after you. They don't stop either.
They could do the collections, and I could help them out with some co-pays from the hospital, from the doctors, and various other places. So that's why I've done it myself. After my transplant, I got a bill for $50,000.
Nice.
Yeah, because of all
They
the
were so
medical-
glad they saved your life. They send you a bill for $50,000. That's nice.
Yeah, and that, well, considering what the bill was,
It was probably cheap.
over 500,000.
Wow.
For my transplant. So,
But you know what? Being the opposite way, thinking about it, here they did save your life.
Yes,
and
they
usually
did.
So it's worth it, right?
Yep, and
Every penny.
every penny. And then I wrote, and I got into a program, and they wrote off that $50,000 because
Wow.
I was on Medicare at the time. I was a single parent and just getting about $1,500 a month from Medicare, and literally a couple hundred from my ex-husband. So providing for my son and I applied for the program, and they're like, oh, and it took a while, but I had to show them my financial statement, and that bill was written off. So,
And so when you talk with people, you work with people nationwide. It's all about showing them where you're at,
yes,
finding out their story,
Yes.
right? Because that also has help to be able to help them with getting that medical debt. Some of it wiped out, not all of it, probably,
no.
right? But it's nice when you get a good chunk out of there.
Yes.
It makes you feel so much better. I want to talk about your story a little bit because you've been talking about your transplant, and you've had so much, even more than that. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised with a very rare heart disease, a heart condition. I shouldn't say rare, it was a very serious heart condition. I had my first open heart surgery when I was about 9 weeks old. They told my parents that I wouldn't see my first birthday. Next week, I'll be seeing my 61st birthday.
And she outlived the doctor that told her
Yes.
she only had 12 hours
12
to live.
hours to live. Well, that was not that one, but at the surgery, I had a surgery at 12 years old, and it was called the mustard procedure. And they said patients that had this procedure before, surgery before, they didn't live past 12 hours. And they told my parents I have a 50% chance of living through the surgery. Well, that was in 1975, and it's my 12 hours aren't up yet. And when I saw the doctor 6 weeks later, he goes, "Who are you?" And he pointed to me, and I was like, "I'm Karen Rosner." And I was 12, I had an attitude. He goes, "I didn't expect you to live. I only gave you 12 hours to live." I was like, "My 12 hours aren't up yet." He gave me a kiss on the cheek and said, "Had a good life and God bless." And I outlived that doctor.
Wow, that's pretty
So,
amazing.
and I've had a surgery after that, and then I had my transplant. And my transplant was over 18 years ago, and I've been doing great ever since.
But let me just say this, folks, listen to this. People who have medical issues, we're talking transplants, that's something that because of, what's happened to you, obviously that's where you focus a lot with people who have those.
Right.
Of course, anyone who has medical debt, you'll help them with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But there's so much that goes involved with medical, after, it's not just that and you're done. You just recently had to have some procedures done. It doesn't end just because you got that transplant and now you're all healthy and say goodbye. It continues to stay alive. There's so much that you have to go through that it continues to just add up and add up and add up.
Oh yeah, after the transplant I had to see the doctor weekly, and they take a blood test every time I saw him, and it went weekly, then monthly, then it was spread out, but now I see him every 6 months. I get labs done every 3 months, or if any.
What about the medication that you've had?
Yeah, and I take medication. At the time of my transplant, I was on like 25 different medications. Now I'm on 5, but 2 of them are my very good best friends. My immunosuppressant medications, tacrolimus or Prograf, and I'm on sirolimus. But most patients are on mycophenolate or Sept, and those are the immunosuppressant medications.
Now, just out of curiosity, are those all, do you have to pay those out of pocket or?
Oh no, they're on with my insurance, and most insurance pays for them. And
that's good.
If you don't have insurance, they're about $400 to $500 a piece for a month. But I have those, and I have appointments, and people that are just transplanted receive their heart, lung, liver. They're on doctor's appointments a lot, and up to the first year. And the first year is the hardest year after a transplant, because you're getting used to medications, you're getting used to the new organ, and you're going to doctor's appointments, and there may be complications in between. There may be more hospitalizations.
Well, I'll tell you something, like I said, she does help people with all medical debt.
Yeah.
But she also likes to focus on anyone, if you yourself or someone that you know that has a transplant that is closest to her heart as well. So, she wants to be able to help everyone get out of debt, especially your medical debt. Let's get that somewhat wiped off, maybe not all of it, but a lot of it, to make it a little bit easier on yourself. Her phone number to call is 808-253-1157. You can check her out. It's yourdebtfreequickly.com. Hang tight. We'll be right back.